if we need an intro, dude.
Yeah, we don't really need an intro. I mean,
Yeah,
look at this guy.
We're just chilling.
He's here, dude.
Yeah, we're just chilling.
But yeah, welcoming LeShon to the podcast. He's a photographer, a videographer, should probably be a part-time comedian. I've said that since the day I met this guy. So
I don't know if that one's true.
but dude, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, a long time coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Long time coming, dude. There was a point in time where I was like, Lee might have to be the third host or second host every once in a while when one person can't make it. But
You got me if you need me.
if you be down,
Yeah.
if you be down.
No, I feel like Lee's like the best like conversator. Like he can just talk to anybody, dude.
These are all compliments that I don't approve of.
You don't approve of?
No, I don't think I'm that great.
But
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. When I first met you, dude, I remember you like showed up and I like heard a lot about you and we were like flying into Arizona and it was like with Caleb and Austin.
Yeah.
And you show up and you're like, "What's up, man? I'm Lee." I'm like, "What up?" And then like I go to my room, like unpack my clothes and I come outside and you have like FPV goggles on and like the DJI FPV had just came out and I was like, "Oh my gosh, she's got an FPV goggles on." And then also she's just like in a residential neighborhood, the thing's like 100 feet off the ground, just going like 70, dude.
Yeah,
And
that was a
just
vibe.
like-
That trip was like, honestly, that trip was one of the wildest. Do you remember we were driving like the minivan?
The
at, like,
Equinox.
90,
You had the Equinox going like
90 miles an hour.
yeah.
more than that,
Oh,
dude.
God.
Everything was shaking, dude. We were trying to get
Crazy.
sunset shots. I don't know. It was crazy. And then you crashed your FPV drone.
Crashed the FPV, and then I remember we went out one night trying to get drinks with Austin. And it's like it was so hot that we couldn't fly out. Like our flight was
Yeah.
delayed.
Oh,
It was
that's
like
crazy.
125, and I remember going out that night, and it was like 110 at night.
I thought it was like 111 at like 10:30.
That's also the Murph story.
Yeah. We don't
That
even
was,
need
like,
to go.
that was like probably one of the craziest trips I've ever been on shooting content, and like I never even saw the finished product.
Dude, I never saw the footage either. All I know is we were like, I was kind of nervous because it was like one of my first trips with Austin. I think it was like my first travel trip with Austin, like
Okay,
on a
yeah.
plane. We flew like first class there too.
That was sick. Yeah.
It was sick. I was in like seat 1A. I was like, what the
I
heck
remember
am I
I
even-
got into an argument with the guy on that flight because I said, I was like 1A from Denver to like Phoenix, and some guy was like, "Can you switch spots with me?" And he was in like Comfort Plus, and I was like, "Nah." I was like, "I don't know what you want me to say, but like, no." And I put my headphones back on. He was just like livid.
Why? Who expects a
He's like,
first
"Oh,
time-
my brother's like sitting next to you," and I was like, "I don't fucking care." Like,
Yeah, if you have first class seats, like you're
I think
gonna
at
give
that
it
time
up.
in my life too, that's probably the first class like flight I've ever been on in my life.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm definitely sitting here.
Yeah.
Like,
Dude, but no, that was crazy. We like, it's weird because on those trips we would like go out and like drink or like be up late, like doing
Yeah.
stuff. Then we'd wake up at like 7 a.m. to shoot like a long interview,
do
dude.
the
Like
same thing
when I
over
say
and
long
over.
interview, I mean like an hour and a half. And I remember we were like 30 minutes into this interview and Lee's on the A cam and I'm on the B cam and I look over and Lee is just,
you gotta remember
and I'm like,
that,
dude, you're sleeping and we just got here.
we're talking about like LASIK eye surgery and like, bro, like I was partying the night before, get on this flight, like probably haven't even showered. Just roll up. We're shooting like LASIK interviews for like 12 hours. I remember we didn't eat. That was like the big controversy because Austin was like, you got to stay hungry to stay focused. So we're like, remember we're like 12 hours into filming and nobody's ate and everyone's like arguing. I don't know. It was just wild.
Yeah.
And like somehow it all worked out, but I
It
think
all worked out, but dude, I feel like if I was the client and I was like doing an interview and I looked over and the cam op was sleeping in the
you know,
chair,
it happens.
I would be like, what the hell?
I remember I was like doing that like not. Like,
Yeah. Then I think you had like a pillar behind you or something, and then also ultimately you just rested your head back.
Yeah.
You just
To be honest, like the more that I've been like producing now, it's like we didn't even need two people on camera.
So was Austin like conducting he was asking the questions?
Austin was conducting the interview, Kayla was taking BTS, and Lee and I were like shooting everything basically, flying
saw the
drone.
BTS.
What? I never saw the BTS either. We'll find it.
I feel like
It's somewhere.
I feel like Austin just like hoards all this stuff and he doesn't put anything out. But
I
He's
guess.
actually Austin's doing where he's in like Austin, Texas right now, I believe.
No, I think he's in Milwaukee. He
Oh.
was in Austin.
Yeah, they were shooting some cool stuff down there
Yeah.
though.
Yeah, those
no
camera
idea.
rigs looking kind of beefy.
Yeah, it looked like they had some budget on that one.
Shooting talking heads on red Komodos.
Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah, I guess you don't need autofocus if you do that. But yeah, then how did you guys meet?
Dang, how did we meet?
I think Austin like sent me your info.
I think it was like, cause I met Chase first, and then I don't know if it was Austin or Chase, but they're like, you should get connected with Lee. And I was like, and I checked your stuff. I was like, dang, he's fire. I was like, we definitely gotta like meet up. And then like the first opportunity was that Winona State football shoot that I knew that you were going on. So like, all right, I'm gonna like meet this dude. Finally, and yeah, like I think that's like the first time we actually met though, right?
Yeah, that was a fun shoot too.
Oh, actually,
That one was fun.
we got coffeed that
Yeah, we
one
did
day.
get coffee,
That one day was I was just like DM'd you. I was like, yo, like we should get coffee, and then we were on a shoot that the following, I don't know, whenever.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
You guys showed up to Movement Culture one day too.
We showed
That
some movement
event.
culture, yeah. I think
That's so
I think
funny.
I got like kicked out of movement culture. Like they didn't explicitly like kick me out, but I remember I was there with Keen, and I
Yeah.
had like my shirt undone to like my belly button,
Yeah.
and I had like a couple drinks, and we were talking about like strip clubs or something, and like the eyes were like, what's going on?
But yeah, so you guys went to Movement Culture. I remember seeing you guys there. I was like, oh dang, they're hanging out, which is cool.
I don't know. I was just like at the time like just trying to like network and meet people, and you're like, I don't know if I asked if you were going, and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna go check it out. Wasn't really the vibe for me, at least. Like it was cool, but like for like us, it just wasn't really the vibe.
Yeah, I think that's something like I want to talk about too. I think there is such like a difference between like artists and technicians and like almost business owners and artists. And I think it is like a weird intersection of like creativity, like how to take your passion to a profession or like how to capitalize on it. I think it's like extremely difficult. But those events like
Yeah.
always remind me of like, I think I've always been like an artist first or like
Yeah.
try to be like a creative
kinda-
first, you know, and like,
You kind of know from like what like from hearing like the presenters, like I really didn't get that much value from the speakers.
Yeah.
And that's when I knew it was like I'm not really a person that's like a business owner. Like I'm an
Yeah.
artist first, and it's like yeah, like I could take some aspects of what they said to some degree, but I didn't really like resonate with what they were like talking about as much, or like what the event was really about. So like,
Yeah.
I think we left pretty early after the speakers were done, but
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's like it's hard to an event like that, like for everyone. I don't care if you're a business owner or a creative,
Yeah.
like funneling everyone into a room and then like making everyone be quiet for like an hour while like people just go up on stage and talk. Some of the speakers are good, some of the speakers are bad, like whatever it may be. But kind of piggybacking on what you said, Lee, like it's so true that like you have like the business owners, the creatives and all. And I think like so many people aren't like honest enough with themselves to just be like, oh, I'm going to play to my strength. Like,
for sure.
Like there
yeah.
was a turning point for me where I was like, yeah, I can edit. Yeah, I can shoot. But there's people that are better than me at editing and shooting. And I might have to transition from like the creative to the business owner role. And like,
Yeah, for sure. I think there's so many kids out there, especially like younger creators, and I try to like harp this all the time. It's like you might have a better time not trying to make money from this. Like I think now like society is so much like you have to make money from like your passion or like you have to have a side hustle of some kind. But it's like if you love taking photos of dogs, like you're probably not gonna make six figures doing that.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Like if that's what you love to do, I think it's dope. I think it's okay to like buy a camera and like take photos. Like that's a hobby for a lot of like older folks. But I think so many people in their like 20s are like, yo, I have to make money doing this. And I look at them and I'm like, I don't think you understand like it's really, really, really difficult
yeah.
to not only do it at a high level, but be consistent and also make income. It's like you're finding a business solution through like art and creativity, not just making a cool video. Like cool videos don't get you paid.
Yeah.
The best videographers that I see kids on Instagram every day where I'm like, yo, this kid's like the tightest kid ever and he has like 300 followers and like just can't get paid off of it because it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know what the application is.
yeah.
Yeah, you kind of have to like, if you really want to make money in this like video production space, for the most part, you're really going to be doing a lot of videos that you don't like, especially early on.
Like 90% of stuff is
Yeah.
not fun.
Yeah.
And I think like people lose sight of that too. It's like, you know, I really admire that you were able to like make a business with it. And I think at the same time, like you were like formatting a business, like it was something I was always thinking about, like, oh, I could do this. But, you know, I like my role now as like a content director. Like I'm entrepreneurial as far as like I have a team and I have to advocate for my team and I have to go pitch a client and I'm doing like a bulk of the same things, but I get to like pull back at times, you know, like it's not always my responsibility. I'm not tracking down invoices.
Yeah.
You know, like
that's the worst.
We have a dedicated person like tracking down how are we getting paid. And my job is just like, how can I make the best video possible with the brief I have?
And like the whole, I think like the hardest part for a lot of people is like the whole like customer service. And like, I'm sure the video's shot and then it gets edited and you may see it, but like you're not in the meetings where it's like, oh, we're on version 12 of this thing and they hate it and we want to find a new song, but we can't find a song they like.
I mean, I'm
like,
sometimes in those meetings now, but I think it's a degree of separation. You know, it's not like my name is being tarnished by them not liking it.
yeah.
You know, it's not like, oh, LeShon did a terrible job on this video. You know, it's like, okay, maybe it's not what we envisioned, but I also think like the larger team you have, you almost have this like inherent respect. You know, I see all these agencies. I was talking to like a creative director recently and he was like, you know, I'd love to bring on like smaller creatives, you know, like solopreneurs. But it's hard to advocate like that we're gonna give a guy $20,000. Like, if we give a team $20,000, it's like, okay, we can at least know that this budget's like allocated and there's like certain processes that are gonna happen. And to their point, like, you know, if I'm a guy, I only have so much time in the day.
Yeah.
You know, and I think work-life balance is like my priority right now. Like mental health is like so big. I think I definitely got stressed in the last year, like trying to freelance and like.
Yeah. I think that's like what it is like the quickest way to burn out is to like, a lot of people just really focus on making money off doing creative stuff, like you said. And you can kind of get sidetracked because like, I think like deep down you crave like doing the stuff that you like, that fulfills you, like fills your cup, where like and then it kind of steers off the path. Cause if you're like a freelancer and you're like a full-time, then you're focusing on like making a living rather than making art. And like, that's where you said you have to kind of distinguish, like whether you're an artist or you're okay doing certain things. Like you said, it could be a certain level of degree where, all right, like I can do this to like sustain my life, but then outside of that, like what do you do with your time outside of that? And yeah, you might have limited time. But if you can balance, like, you know, some people do have it good. They can like, you know, do cool things and make money, but that's a majority of people like don't have those opportunities. So like, I don't know, I think it's like kind of finding that balance, you know, like doing things that you don't want to do and the things that you do want to do, if that makes sense.
You're never going to escape from the things you don't want to do, but it's just, like you say, balancing them.
Yeah, right. And I think, you know, I had like the most interesting like revelation like a month ago. I was talking with one of my friends that makes music, and I think so much in life, like we compare, and I think comparison really is like the thief of joy, but it's like there's a lot of people that on the internet might be having the time of their life, but you wouldn't trade your life for their life.
No.
You know, and I think that's like what I always have to keep in the back of my mind is like, you know, there's a guy shooting, I would love to shoot like NBA content or like NFL content. I wouldn't be able to call the shots.
Yeah.
You know, like right now I'm working on projects that are like a dream for most people. And I'm like in control. Like I'm in the driver's seat of saying like, no, I want this done. I want this angle. I want creative control. And I think that's like so hard to get. And I think all the flashy content is like, to me, it's like a trap, right? Like if you're doing anything super high profile, you usually don't get paid well because everyone wants to do it.
Yeah.
And usually you don't get creative freedom because like it is glossy and glitzy and glamorous. Everyone wants to shoot Drake.
And a lot of times you can't market yourself with it. Like I shot a very like high profile project this weekend, and I posted like 2 stories, and like 10 minutes later they called. They're like, yo, you got to take all that stuff down. Like you can't.
That's what I'm saying.
And I'm like, dude, it was not a script. Like I have 2,000 followers. Like who cares?
Right.
No one's going to know. But, you know, they're just like, take it down, you know? So it's like, okay, cool.
Yeah, and I think a lot of, you know, and I think that's like what I want to do today is just like advocate and like at least shed light on some of this stuff. I think a lot of creators like flex, like, oh, I did this cool thing, I'm jet setting, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And like, yeah, I can point out like, oh, I've been here, there, and I've done this and I've met whoever. But like the reality of it is finding an opportunity where you can fulfill yourself creatively and like feed yourself is like the dream, no matter what it is. Like it might not be the coolest thing in the world, but if you're creatively fulfilled and the rent gets paid, that's like a dream life for most people that walk the earth. Like most people walk the earth like hoping they can find a job where they go home and they love it and they can also pay the bills and they can maybe take a vacation a couple times a year. And I think a lot of young creatives are like jaded and they walk around like, oh, I don't have X amount of followers. Oh, I don't drive this, or I don't own this, or whatever. And it's like, you can't compare. It's like, our work isn't that hard. Yeah. At least like in the reality, like I do what I love every single day. I go home and like enjoy it. And then in my free time, I do it more. And like all the bills are paid. Like that's pretty much a dream. I
feel like the 2 people that come to my mind when you say that like type of balance or that type of lifestyle is like you and Darton. Like you guys both have like these like you guys both have these jobs that are like very secure and you're creating within your job, and then like on the weekend you go out and like do some things as well and create some stuff. Even you, Devin, like I feel like you have a little bit of that balance too, which is nice. Yeah. And you grab freelance projects too.
Yeah, sometimes here and there. I think like kind of bouncing off of that, I think a lot, I don't know, like maybe some people might be in victim mindset of life and they kind of like almost, I don't know, like I feel like they don't actually trust themselves, or they don't actually want to put in the work to like get to that point. And I think like just from meeting you, I feel like has been kind of inspiring to like just any idea, like even if like some days that we would just go shoot and create something. Like for me, I'm the creator of my life, so like you won't be Drake's director unless you obviously expense all your ideas and like try to get to that level. Right. And I feel like some people don't want to put in the work, and that's kind of like the truth too. Like it's hard to direct and like produce a video to that level, but like what resources do you have like in your city? And like, you know, you have like a team or some other friends who are creators, like get together and go create stuff, you know. Like I think that's like what I've learned this past year is networking and finding friends and finding people that I can trust creatively with my vision and stuff, and obviously, you know, trying to make things happen too. Not being scared to do that, I guess.
Yeah, I think that like, you said like victim mindset or something?
Yeah, like
I feel like that's true. I feel like there's a lot of people that are like, oh, I'll never get there because of this, and
that's like comparison.
That guy got so lucky, and this and that. It's like ultimately, dude, you just have to just worry about yourself, create your own stuff, put it out, try to just get better and better every day, and it'll. I mean,
like the honest to God truth that like no one will admit is like everyone's lucky. Like anyone you've ever seen make it has had like a streak or a stroke of luck. I can like say that about myself. I think everyone that's successful that goes like, oh, I built this like all myself, they're not being realistic. Like realistically, you need luck, but luck is just preparation and opportunity. Like if you are, like the like truth is, I was working an office job that I hated right out of college. I'm doing like social media marketing. Thought that's what I want to do. Hate it. I'm working at this job and I'm literally like, yo, I'm gonna die if I do this until I'm 40. Like if I sit behind a desk every day, I'm gonna like not want to do this, you know? And I went out and shot a sunset every single day for probably like 6 months. Like lame, right? Like nowadays, if you ask me to go shoot sunset, I'm like, I mean, is there like something cool? Like am I getting a banger? But no, like to learn my camera, I went out like every single day and shot a sunset. And I happened to get lucky and get a job being a full-time photographer when I had no qualifications. Portfolio was like not good. And it's like, those are the realities of it. Like nobody's going to prompt you to like go do something profound. Like nobody's ever gonna like give you the handbook, because like the handbook doesn't exist. Like you shot crazy stuff, and it's like some of those clients are just people that call you up and you're like, I don't even know how you got my number.
Yeah.
You know, like some of these people are like leads where you're like, I didn't prospect for this person.
Yeah.
And it's almost like the harder you try, sometimes like the less progress you make. Sometimes you just have to be doing things for yourself, and like through that, life will create these opportunities and like open these doors.
But even just like getting in your car and going to shoot a sunset for like weeks and months on end, like that shows, like, I think if I'm like hiring someone and you're like, dude, I've shot a sunset every day for the past like 90 days, I would be like, I mean, this guy obviously like has passion for a camera. He's not just gonna come in here and sleep. Like he just wants an opportunity. And then you get a job as a full-time photographer and you prove to them. And I know what job you're talking about. Then you got like moved to like start a new location and like all this stuff. And like that led to so many opportunities. There's so many projects like that too. Like that I could have said no to this project, but that project introduced me to this person, or that project got me like, sometimes those like low paying projects, like randomly, I don't know, like will turn into something bigger, you know?
Bro, I think
sometimes it's not luck. Sometimes it's just letting your ego down and being like, I'll shoot that shit.
I think like egoless creating is like super hard. But like a lot of those free projects, I think I've made a career of free projects, literally. Like I think most of my portfolio that like people look and they're like, oh, this is dope. Yeah, I probably shot it for free. But like that's the reality, is like if somebody has no budget, I can do whatever I want. You know, like I retain that creative control of, it's like, and you know, now recently, like in reflection, I've taken this approach where it's like, I won't take low pay. I'll take my rate or I'll do it for free, but I won't do anything in between. Because if it's my rate, I have to listen to what you say. And if it's free, I'm in control. But everything in the middle like drives me crazy, because it's like, you didn't pay me enough to do 20 rounds of revisions.
Yeah.
You know, like if you're paying my rate and like what I'm asking, you can ask the world of me.
Yeah.
But everything in between is like, I'd rather not do it. Like it always becomes a headache. I don't know why, but like low paying clients are a headache. I'd rather do it for free.
It's good
That's
to know,
a clip
like,
right there.
It's good to know like when to say yes and no to certain things, because you know exactly like what you need from that if you want to take it on, especially if it's something that you might not enjoy the most. But yeah, I think that's really good. I feel like the past year I've learned to say no to certain things if it's gonna expend more energy out of me and stuff. It's like you said too, like it's mental too. Like you can't just overwork yourself.
I mean, that's the power too of like, this is my last like add in, but like on this topic, with the point that I try to tell a lot of younger people is like, there is no shame in working for somebody as a creative. But what it does to you is it gives you the ability to say no. Right now, like my bills are paid, rent's paid, everything's like good. And when freelance projects come in, I can just say no. But there's so many people trying to make it freelance that like don't have the financial ability to say, oh, this is a project that's gonna drain me, it's gonna burn me out, I'm gonna hate this client afterwards. And sometimes you see that from the intro call, but you know that you need this project to pay your rent.
$1,000.
You need the $1,000, you know, and like, if you're in a position, you know, like you said, Devin has it made too, and like there's all these people that like, everything's covered, and when something comes in that I wanna do, I can say yes.
Yeah.
When it comes in and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a headache, I can say no. And that's like the most powerful position you can be in.
And and then you made an extra $1,000 of discretionary income,
right?
Because like
now I can go ball out, you know. Like, but that's the truth of it. Like you know, the extra $1,000 to me is always like, can I go buy gear with this? Can I go have fun with this? Can I go do something with this? Is this project worth X?
Yeah.
You know, I'm never even saying yes for the money. I'm like, literally taking in projects. I'm like, okay, am I gonna get 1,000 and I'm going on this trip? Cool, it makes sense.
Yeah.
But like, if I'm just putting in the bank, most of the time I say no.
Yeah. It's also crazy too, because like, well, that project I shot this weekend, like, looks on the grand scheme of things like this crazy project. It actually, the rate was really good. Got to shoot for the opener, Girl in Red of Taylor Swift, which was like sick. So you go there and like, you know, he's like, oh, I'll let you in at 6:15. Boom, you go down the stairs, like you go in their changing room. Everyone's like vibing out in there. It's pretty cool. But then they like quickly funnel you back into this back room. But like, I left the stadium every day, and it was fun. Don't get me wrong. It was like super fun and challenging to like shoot this stuff, run and gun. But you left just kind of feeling like empty a little bit. You know, it's like the guy, no one even knows my name on their whole team. You know, they're just like, hey, come here. You know, and it's just funny. Like you don't really feel that valued. And honestly, in music, it's always all about the artist. But like from the outside looking in, I bet there's like tons of people that were like, dude, I would love that job. I would love to be like right next to the stage and like shooting this crazy show at US Bank. But then like when I left, I was like, oh, back to normal life, you know? It's like not that crazy. And like it started, I remember like day one, it was like starting to rain. The guy said he's gonna grab me at 6:15. 6:25 rolls around. I'm like, dude, is this guy ever gonna come and get me? And then like you get down there, and then in like 2 minutes, he's like, all right, we gotta go. And it's like I don't even have all my stuff set. Like I didn't have enough time. There's like a lot of things that are out of your control, and like I don't know. It's just kind of interesting, like shooting that because I haven't really shot much like that, and it was fun. But I look at it, I'm like, if it paid $1 less, I probably wouldn't have done it. Like looking back on it,
I think all the time too. Like I've shot a decent amount of athletes, and like I see hundreds of kids in like Minneapolis trying to shoot athletes, and I'm like, I don't think you understand, like these guys, like you're making them money and they like are not paying you well. Like they just know that there's like a dime a dozen people that are gonna like volunteer to shoot this. They're not gonna pay well. Like you get an Instagram post and a tag, and it's like I don't know what that even does for me at this point. Like it does nothing.
Paid on exposure is not something that you should. Yeah. No, you should never work for exposure, I guess. I don't know. Maybe you should. You can.
Sometimes. I mean, like if Drake hits me tomorrow, like that's what dream. You know, I like bring him up because that's like the dream. You know, like if Drake's like, hey, you want to come through and shoot a concert? I'd be like, yeah, for sure. You know, and I'll do that for free. Like I shot Lil Wayne for free.
Dude, and those photos were crazy. I actually have that on the list to talk about.
But it was like one of my things where it was like, you know, I listened to Lil Wayne all my like childhood, and you're like, oh, this is like the greatest rapper alive growing up, you know?
Yeah.
And it was one of those opportunities where like this creative director hit me up like day of, last minute, same thing, show up to the door, waiting outside. No one has any organization, nothing's set. The security guy comes to us like 20 times. He's like, no one's shooting in front of the house, no one's shooting in the pit. I was like, all right, well, if I'm not shooting in the pit, I'm gonna leave. But eventually we like, you know, you get to shoot in the pit or whatever, but it's like one of those moments where it's like, all right, it was 4 hours of my time. They didn't care what I submitted, really. They're just like, we want photos and coverage. And it's like, okay, I got to like basically listen to songs at a concert front row in front of everyone for like free. Like that was it. That was the opportunity.
It was a payoff.
You know, but
have you shot a lot of concerts like that?
In what sense?
Like, I don't know. I think that, well, one of the topics I had was like, you have this like adaptable style kind of, I think. And like, even if that was like your first concert, like I feel like you have this ability to like look at a good concert photographer like Robert Henry and be like, oh, I'm gonna like, you know, try to mimic that style and try to like create something like that. And then you could shoot like a house and try to like mimic the same editing of like a house shot.
Well, I think so much of it is like just understanding like the principles. And it's crazy because like I didn't go to school for it, but I think learning and understanding like when you're on Instagram, you should be able to swipe and look at somebody's photo and like try to understand like what focal length was this shot at? Like how does their face look in this photo? And that should tell you like, okay, was this wide or was this telephoto? Like where's the compression? And I think just like paying attention to those things, like I don't really care about like the editing someone put on, but like understanding like the key fundamentals, like who's doing it that you appreciate. And like, you don't need to ask them what gear they're using. Like every camera can shoot pretty good nowadays. Like that's the truth. But like understanding like, why did they take it at this angle? What does this angle do? What does this focal length do to the photo? Like understanding those key components, and then also understanding like what you like. I don't like 50 millimeters. I hate it. So my kit has no 50 in it.
Yeah.
Like I go from like 8 to like 35, and then I just jump to like a 70 to 200.
Yeah. 8?
Like 8 millimeters. I go like wide. Yeah. I got,
like that's the widest lens I've ever heard of.
But like, so like I don't like that middle range. But the thing is like, a 50 is cheap, so a lot of people have 50s. So like a lot of amateur work looks like it's shot on a 50 because it's like the cheapest lens you can buy for Sony or Canon. Yeah. And like when you go and look, like what's the first lens you buy? It says like buy a 50 for portraits, and like it's all around. And they're always like, that's the human eye, you know, focal range. Like
I feel like it's all about the creator, like not the, you know, like gear at that point. You know, like you could buy a 50, but what do you do with that 50? you know, or you know, you buy an 8. Like, what do you do with that 8?
I'm gonna say this: fuck the 50 millimeter. No, but like, I think it's one of those things. Like, why? Yeah, like you said, it's like, why are you using what you're using? Like, is there like a storytelling motivator to it? Like, are you shooting wide for the sake of shooting wide, or are you shooting wide because it's like conveying something?
Yeah.
I think there's different applications too. Like, you know, a wide, you know, if you want to. It's more environmental or like capture like a lot of stuff, or distortion, you know, there's a lot of like different applications. You get creative with it, especially with like video and photography and stuff. But yeah, I think, that's why I said like it's kind of just like the application of it. And
and I think like figuring out, I think that's when you like everyone shoots an iPhone, like iPhone shoots great photos, but like when you understand like focal lengths and compressions and stuff, that's when you're actually using like a camera for a camera's use. You know, if you're gonna go out and shoot like 24 millimeter f5 or like 35 millimeter f5, it's just gonna look like an iPhone.
We shot our video and you like hooked up this articulating arm onto like the pen, you know, and you're like had the 8 millimeter on and it looked like a POV of me like writing, or like in the shoebox, you know, you had that and you like open up the shoebox, like. Or like where we like hopped over, like you put the camera underneath like the wood, like that was kind of like cool. You just have to get creative with it, you know, like you never know like.
Yeah, and I think it's important too to just like pick up some stuff that like that lens was $50. Like it looks crazy.
Is it what's the brand?
It's like a fisheye Rokinon, like
Rokinon. That's like the brand.
APS-C even, like it doesn't even fit on a full frame camera. But like I've been looking. And I think there's like a healthy balance. Like you have to know like what you're using. Like I would love to have all vintage lenses. I think they have a ton of character. But I also am run and gun shooting projects for like brands. You know,
and
like,
you need like a G master that can focus fast.
Yeah, so it's like just understanding like what it is and what you're using. But I honestly think like gear is usually the least interesting thing about a creative. Like I hate when people are like, they meet you and they're like, what do you shoot on? It's like, what does it matter? You know what I mean? Like, you know, like you guys shot a project on a FX6 and the next day you might shoot it on a A7S III. Yeah. Or you might get to the point where like you're shooting a project and there's a Arri Alexa like there. Like the project and the budget are going to dictate the gear, not like what I want to use. Yeah. Like I can't afford to buy a Red for it to sit on the shelf for like 90% of the time.
That's what well, we had that FX6 for the project we shot it on, the Super Bowl project, and we had it like before, right? And we had a shoot like the Friday before we left. And I remember we're like, oh, we're gonna use this like FX6 for like interviews and stuff. And not saying it's not a good camera for interviews, but it was just like, for us, it was just way more clunky to like get it on the tripod and like carry it around and like move the tripods around. Like we were running and gunning. So we ended up just putting that thing back in the case, shooting on our A7S IIIs for the interviews, because it was just like, we could just get through this. We had a lot to shoot that day. We just had to get a lot done.
It's kind of tough though, because like we could use anything we want and it'll look good. But like when people see a Red or people see a FX6 or Arri, like they're gonna be like, "We'll take you seriously." I don't know.
I think it's because like certain things are aspirational, but it's like the same as a car. Like if the speed limit's 60 miles an hour, like do you need a Bugatti?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like driving to work every day in like a Ferrari would probably be a headache. Like there's no place to put your stuff.
Yeah.
You know, but it's like understanding like when's the right time for what.
I also think what makes those like, okay, you shot it on a Red, right? And everyone's like, oh, it shot on a Red, so it looks really good. But also like, okay, they shot it on a Red and they had a steady cam, so they can like get way more different. Like it's not only the camera, but it's all the tools you need to like make that camera like work too. Like
I'll say this,
the
like,
steady cam stuff is crazy.
Straight up, I've seen people shoot on Red and I've seen kids shoot on like A6400s, and the A6400 looks better than the Red. It's about like, are you maximizing what you're getting out of your gear?
Yeah. Also, too, like, where is it being shown at? Social media? Is it being, like, shown at a movie theater? Like, is it being shown at, like, an open screening? Like, you get to see, like, all right, like, what's the point of using a Red if you're just going to shoot, like, social content? Sometimes it does matter. Like, I feel like some brands have, like, really cool, like, social videos that are, like, really high quality. But, you know, a lot of people don't really care about that. Like, people will be okay with the iPhone footage or, like, something else.
That new movie, The Creator, was shot on, like, a FX3. Like, you can go to Best Buy and buy an FX3. You know what I mean? Like, and if somebody can use it in Hollywood, it's not saying like that's the best camera ever, but it's just kind of like, what does it matter?
Well, lighting is just as important too. Like you look at these like films from like the 80s and like some black and white films and stuff like way back when, and they look really freaking good. And it's just because like the lighting was set. Like those cameras were horrible. Like if you picked up one of those cameras today, it was like terrible. But like the lighting was so good in like some of those like Star Wars movies and stuff.
Record it. Like,
They're just cranking it.
Yeah,
On, like,
it's
a
crazy.
16.
But like I think I would rather invest in like a lighting team initially than like I know people that shoot on like crazy like reds and stuff like that, but they don't have a single light. And I'm not calling anyone out, but I do know someone.
I think it's all about like what you're doing. Like, and again, I mean, we can kill this topic eventually, but like, I think gear is just like not interesting because it's like, I don't really care what it was shot on. Like, if it looks good, it looks good. If it was creative, it was creative. Like, who cares if it was on a fucking VHS camera, if it was on like a fucking 8K red, like.
Speaking of that, like the open screening we went to, like it was kind of cool to see like what other people were making, and it honestly didn't really matter what gear they shot on. Like they actually like just put themselves out there and like had an idea and executed it, and like.
And give the viewers some background on the open screening.
Open screenings held by PF Functionary over at the PF Cafe by Ryan Sapera and Adrian Wilson. Yep. And they do one at least once a month, I think. And it's kind of curated. The first couple ones were like people just showed whatever, but it was too long. So now they just like have like 6 filmmakers or other artists that show their stuff. And yeah, like it was my second time going. I think Lee's been to a couple too. And yeah, it was kind of cool to, Lee showed something. It was like 15 seconds and people were like, is that it?
It was vertical
it was really good though, you know.
It was horizontal.
It was horizontal. Yeah. I do shoot horizontal video from time to time.
Yeah, bring back horizontal. That's what I feel.
Honestly, you know, my dream setup right now is just give me a square sensor so I can shoot both. That's all I want.
Like, what about like a medium format? Like, I don't know if they do like video, but like photos. I like medium format photos. If you've seen those.
Yeah.
No, but open screen. It's so interesting. Like, yeah, like you could have no budget and shoot something that's like you know that like I'll actually watch. You know, like I think that's interesting. Like so many people have this built-in excuse of like, oh, I can't do that because I don't have a budget or I don't have the team or I don't have the resources. But it's like sometimes you have to shoot a proof of concept. Like if you can make something with like no money and just friends that's interesting, you can.
I'm pretty sure every one of those projects had no budget.
Really?
Yeah. No.
And they're all just super passionate people.
Some.
Yeah.
Like obviously, you don't just go to an open screening and spend a day there if you don't care.
For sure. I also think like people don't take like cues from like other examples. Like there's so many short films that you'll find that have like a big name premiere like actor in them because like that actor believes in doing projects that are like meaningful.
Yeah.
And like how many people in Hollywood right now are just like writing scripts over and over and over and over and over again, like just trying to make it happen. Like a movie might get shot 3 different times. It might be a pilot and then it like graduated to something else and graduated to something else. Like I think your ideas, if they're great ideas, are like not worth throwing in the trash. I think they're like, okay, can we expand upon this?
Mm-hmm. Expanding upon. Yeah. Do they really shoot movies like 3 times?
Bro, I mean, like, how many pilots are there for like TV shows? You know, and like they might have shot one and been like, okay, that was a good pilot. And like,
well, they'll like shoot a whole season and they might not even release it.
Yeah, like stuff gets scrapped.
Or they'll like shoot a pilot, flip the story a little bit, curate it, and then like shoot another pilot.
Like, I've heard of like scripts being like read and then thrown away, and then 3 years later they get pulled out of the bin and then changed and then thrown away again and then changed.
Well, speaking of that, what was that? I don't know if Kayla's talking about this, but the show with The Weeknd in it, like they're not gonna get renewed or something. But like, you know, like, you coming? Wait.
No, the show with The Weeknd's interesting because like a lot of people are saying it's like not good. Like the reviews are terrible, but it's like I don't think you're supposed to like his character, and I don't even know if you're supposed to like the show. Like, does it make you uncomfortable? Like, does it convey like an emotion out of you? Does it evoke something? Like, definitely. So like, was that the goal? Probably. I don't know. Like, people are watching it. It broke Euphoria's numbers for their first season. Yeah. So it's like, obviously people are tuning in.
Yeah.
But everyone's
Critical of it.
But it's like, I don't know. Like,
And then you have like an artist like Lil Dicky who makes this show Dave, and it's like popping. Like everyone loves that show. It's got like tons of 5-star reviews. Probably not as many like streams, but people love that show.
Yeah, Dave's good. I like Dave.
Dave is a good show. I'm actually rewatching it right now.
I think that's gonna be like an interesting angle too. Like, I guarantee in the next couple of years, like you're gonna see artists create almost like a fictional universe around themselves and use that as like a marketing tactic. Because now, like with Dave, like you feel connected to this character, Dave.
Yeah.
Like Dave is Little Dicky, but like Dave is not an accurate representation of him and like the
It's a
events
little
that
overdone.
transpired.
Yeah.
But like it gets to the point where like it's almost seamless. Like you aren't like questioning what's real and fictitious, and it allows them to like show a completely different side of like who they are as an artist. And I feel like that's where we're going with everything.
But then like, have you guys seen Jack Harlow's new movie?
Yeah,
I haven't seen it.
I thought it was trash.
unfortunately.
The acting is kind of.
Well, it was just like,
know.
I don't know. I feel like Jack Harlow could have taken a different approach. Like I feel like Jack Harlow's so big. He's kind of doing like the Kevin Hart thing where it's just like big movie, big movie.
But I think it like ties back into like, if you're doing things that you're not passionate about or you're not like really connected to, like they're not going to be successful.
Yeah.
Like I don't care who you are, like how much money is behind a project. Like if you yourself don't believe in a project, no matter like what creative field or industry you're in, like it's not going to work. Or like maybe it does, but I don't think it does.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard. It's interesting though. Like it's interesting watching all these artists like find connection.
It's like crazy though, because like a lot of artists don't just make music. They'll, like you said, they'll be a director on a show, or they'll go into fashion and be a fashion designer. You know, like Pharrell. You know, like.
I mean, it's dang, the name just slipped me. It's
ASAP.
no, Childish Gambino.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say Charles Gambino. Yeah.
Like he is like the modern day Renaissance man. What does he not do?
Yeah, he's doing everything.
Yeah.
What does he not do? He does like
Yeah.
absolutely everything. Like he is who I think like a modern day like true creative being is, and that's like some real meta Rick Rubin book-esque thing. But like I think if you're like living and breathing in a way that like assists what you're doing creatively, I think you'll be successful and you'll go far. But I think it's the same conversation. Like if you're just looking for a check, like that's a hard life.
Yeah. I also think like he probably has an infrastructure where he has like a lot of security and he can try things and do it like the right way,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, he got the resources to do it.
Like everyone wants to start a clothing brand, but like Kanye started Yeezy and it like he had enough money to like truly do
To
it the right
propel
way.
it to the next thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I
But
mean,
there's like, if you're talented enough, obviously he's super talented. Like he doesn't
Yeah.
just direct these music videos and like do all these things, and like if he's not super talented, so
For
he
sure.
definitely worked for all those skills.
for sure. But I think lifestyle is like a component that no one speaks of. Like I was at 2 agencies recently. Like, and I was at an agency where like you're expected to come in at 8 and work till like 5 at a desk the whole day and like log your hours. I was like, this isn't even how like a creative person operates. Like I literally felt zapped. Like this, I can't think at 8 a.m. of an idea. I can't just start editing like at 8 on the dot. You know, like I might edit until 4 a.m. one day and I might wake up at 12. Like, but that is the lifestyle that allows you to like be that guy.
Yeah, that's super interesting to hear that perspective, because that is true. I feel like the like 8 to 5 thing, because I always worked from 8 to 5, like at real estate jobs or whatever, and like Savannah works 8 to 5, and then like I feel like our team's like somewhat flexible. Like we obviously get in the morning and then like leave in the end of the day, but like it kind of depends. I feel like you're like, if you're an age, like here's how I kind of like to run my team, is very much in the sense that like they're looking for hours, like at that agency, like 8 to 5, right? Like we need you from 8 to 5. I think you have to look at it like objective base. Like, hey, this month we have these 4 projects. I don't care what we have to do as long as these 4 projects get done before the end of the month or end of the week or however many projects you have. But like, if you're objective based, I think you end up just getting more out of your employees. Because like some people can come in and work faster.
It's all about tasks. Because like you're penalizing me for working faster.
Yeah.
Like Devin's a super fast editor. You know what I mean?
Fastest.
Like, if Devin can get 3 days worth of work for a normal person done in like a day, then it's like you should encourage it, you know? Because like if he spends a day just dinking around, like doing things that he likes to do, it energizes you to do the next project. You know, I'm like a huge proponent in that. It's like you might have a week-long push, and the next week I might not do anything. Yeah. But then the next time I need to get a project completed on like a short timeline, I have the bandwidth to do it.
I actually think like Best Buy, I think Best Buy was the company that like revolutionized corporate America by going to this objective based work world or something. I think I read that somewhere. I could be wrong, but
like you said, it was like lifestyle too, you know, like as long as like everything's like well balanced, you know, or like you might not be productive at 7, 8 a.m., but you might be productive at this time. But what what if you want to go, I don't know, go for a walk in the morning or like do something else? Like,
bro, I'm big on ice skating on Tuesdays.
Ice skating?
Ice skating. Tuesdays at noon.
Dude, I'll be there, bro. I can ice skate.
Where do you ice skate right now?
Right by the art museum.
Dude, I feel like you're a bender, bro.
I probably am. It's like I'm trash. No, but like it's not about that. It's about like what's something I can do where like I'm not good. And for at least 1 hour out of my day, I am so focused on not falling and breaking my face, right? Like that's what it is. It's like, so now like for that hour, I'm not like thinking about projects. I'm not thinking about like, oh, when I get off work, I have to make dinner or I have to like clean or I have this going on. It's like finding activities where like this activity, I'm just present in this. I'm scared to ice skate with my phone because if I fall, it'll break, right? Like I go with no headphones. I'm just out on some ice, just like zipping around, and like that's it for an hour. Yeah. It's like that is the reprieve I need.
You be going kayaking
like,
too, man.
Bro, I love kayaking too. Like I go kayaking all the time. But it's like here's an opportunity for me to like do something for X amount of time where like nothing else in the world matters, and then I can get back and like jump into reality.
Yeah. I think, that's even just like getting outside though. Like just flushing your brain, just like going outside.
Bro, it's like sometimes the next big idea, the like roadblock in your life right now is going to be answered when you stop looking at it.
Yeah. Dude, that's the idea thing is so funny because yesterday I was just like e-biking around, you know, I got an e-bike. So I'm e-biking around through these neighborhoods and like, it was like I had just left my place and I heard like an ambulance or like sirens coming down the road. And I'm such a nerd. I took like a left, crossed the road, and I was like on my bike and I was like imagining if it was like a movie and I was like escaping on this like e-bike and I was like cutting through the grass and like going and thing. But it was like my brain just went to this like creative space just naturally of like I could like make a video. Like I was kind of inspired. I was like hearing the sirens. I was like, dude, we could make a video on this bike of like us like zooming through the city and like a crazy like escape the cops video type thing. And it just like that would have never came if I was just like sitting inside just doing nothing.
I think you have to allow yourself to be who you were when you were a child.
Yeah.
You know, like, and that's such like a crazy thing, but like get messy, like do random stuff, like be bad at something. I think so many people are scared to be bad. Like when we were kids, we were all trash at everything. Yeah. You know, like you go watch Little League baseball, like they're all terrible. Yeah. You know what I mean? But like one of those kids might make it to the MLB, and it's like you have to like put yourself in the position at times to like be bad, like learn.
I hate when people say, I can't do that. I don't know how to do that. You think I know how to do that? I'm like, yeah, and you could never learn either. Like
a lot of it's fear based. If you know, they're scared to be to fail, or they're scared that people will judge them. You know,
how do you cope with that?
That's the thing. Everyone comes to a point where they have to face it, and they have to be like they have to dive in head first to a lot of things. And I feel like that's where a lot of the growth is, though. Where you try something and you fail, or you succeed at it, and you keep going, or you divert to a different direction. You know, like not everything. I feel like everything is temporary. Like, you know, like you never know. I'm all about like experiences. You know, like if you just keep trying things, and you know, and a lot of those things feel like different ideas, stuff. So yeah.
We've got a little bit of time left, but no, that's I don't know. I feel like I have a lot of people in my life that are like that are like, I can't do that. I don't know how to do that. And I'm like, it bothers me, but I'm like, obviously at the end of the day, they're like, I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like me maybe lead to like we're very spontaneous people.
I mean, I read this thing and like it's weird how many times it came up. So like I've been journaling recently. So every day I journal in like a weird way. Every day I write something that throughout the day like stands out to me. And then I try to relate my life back to that quote. It's like a weird way of approaching it.
Okay.
But
it gives you something to write about.
Yeah. 3 times in the last like 2 months, I came across this quote like, act through love, not fear. It's like when you're operating through love, it's like you're never gonna lose. You know, like if I'm doing what I love and it doesn't work out, like, okay, I still did what I like to do. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like when you act out of fear, it's like you're never gonna make the bold decision that's gonna like be the catalyst for the next big thing, because like you're never putting yourself out there. Like acting through love is always gonna propel you to like put yourself out there. Like you love film, so you'll go to an open screen and you'll have a conversation that will probably lead to something. Yeah. Or you love clothes, so you'll be in a place where you love clothes and you have to have that conversation. Acting through fear is like, oh, I'm scared of not knowing anyone at this event, so I'm gonna go and just not talk.
You know what's crazy though? I think fear is a good indication to do something. For sure. If you're scared to do something, it's like, if you follow your intuition, like you want to do it, but you're scared, like you should. That should be an indication to like go do that, because I think like
unless you want to go see the Titanic.
The Titanic.
Don't go down and see that Titanic, dude.
Not that.
It's too
not
deep,
that
dude. It's too deep.
This is all like, you know, contextual. But yeah, like in a sense, yeah, like I have like social anxiety, but like I'm scared to be like in a, like with a place with like a lot of people I don't know. But sometimes like I just push myself out of my comfort zone and kind of lean into fear to like, and usually it turns out better than I thought, you know.
Bro, if I'm gonna be honest, I have like this huge social anxiety. I feel like people never.
Yeah, because you come off differently, but yeah.
Because I feel like I'm always putting on a show. Like I feel like I can make people laugh, and I feel like the only reason I figured that out in my life was because like, okay, if I can at least make everyone laugh, I break the ice enough to like not feel awkward. Mm-hmm. Like, and then I'm in control. Like if I can make everyone laugh, like I'm in control of the room.
Yeah.
So I was telling someone, I was like, dude, Lee like controls the energy in the room.
You told me that yesterday.
I did. I was like, you just know how to like, I don't know, make people feel comfortable.
Yeah, but I think it's a fear response. Like I'm terrified of like public speaking, but I'll get up in front of people and just like go. You know, but it's like, if I can go and get these people on my side, then it's like, I'm not scared anymore because now we're all friends. Mm-hmm. You know, I think that's the thing about like laughter. And it's like, it relates to like what we're doing. It's like clients will work with you because they like you.
Yeah.
Like they don't have to like respect you. You just have to like me. Mm-hmm. It's like, if I can get you on my side to the point where like we're all having a good time and we're all friends, I'm going to get the preferential treatment.
I've never had a client that liked me fire me.
That's what I'm saying. Like I've had them like maybe slow up and be like, I can't pay you this month, but they've never like forgotten about me.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. You heard it here first. Get the people to like you.
Yeah.
I think we basically covered a lot. We talked a lot about, it's a very conversational podcast here. Yeah. Good podcast. We got another one coming up right after this. So he's going to be here soon. But dude, thanks for coming on today, Lee.
Yeah, thanks.
Where can the people follow you, dude? Where can they see your distinctive styles?
I don't know. I don't even know what my Instagram is anymore.
Lethal Shooter.
No, I changed it.
Oh, yeah, you did change it.
No, I changed it because an old lady told me that was scary. Literally, she was like, that is.
It's like, what do you mean shooter?
Yeah, she was like,
lethal shooter is pretty aggressive.
It is aggressive, yeah.
I mean, like, especially like in today's climate, dude.
Bro, it was like somebody like important. They were like, I think it's just LeShon _Lee, LESHON _LEE.
There he is.
And Devin Falley features in so much of my work. It's really.
I do, because I like to model. I like to be on both sides of the camera. Yeah.
But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Obviously, follow LeShon. Let us know what you thought about the podcast, and stay tuned for the next one.
Peace.